Second question, which is perhaps a bit more controversial than our nice soft start, was asked by a member of the Chamber, a gentleman by the name of Graham King, who isn't here tonight. The question is, the government tell us that as a result of our fighting the Taliban in Afghanistan, our streets in Britain will be safer. Are any of the panel naive enough to believe such talk? Then, follow-up to that, surely the huge resources being spent on the war, both financially and in manpower, could be much better used in the many more sophisticated methods available in anti-terrorist policing to make our streets safer. Sandy, can you go first?
Yes, I mean that's an excellent question. In fact, I was asked that question this morning at Sandringham School, a slightly different version of that question when I spoke to the Year 13s there. I think we do have to remember why we went into Afghanistan. And it was, of course, because the then Taliban government gave shelter to Al-Qaeda, who then launched the attack on the Twin Towers. And when we went into Afghanistan, it was with the full support of the UN, the worldwide community. It is, of course, a NATO action. We then totally poisoned the well by going into a wholly inappropriate, unnecessary, in fact probably illegal war in Iraq. And my party was the only party in Parliament to have the bravery and courage to oppose that war. And what that did was to poison Britain's reputation in the Muslim world and with a large part of the international community. And that is now poisoning what is happening in Afghanistan. But I don't think we can afford to walk away and leave Afghanistan as a failed state, because the domino effect to possibly Pakistan and onwards to some of the other countries in that part of the centre of the continent, Asia and Europe, that boundary. So I think we have to, as someone said, take tea with the Taliban. We have to work out how we can leave with some degree of confidence that a working state will stay behind. I think the great tragedy is that Paddy Ashdown, for reasons known only to Hamid Karzai, was turned down as High Representative. He did such an outstanding job in Bosnia, and I think he would have done a similarly outstanding job in Afghanistan. But I think actually to just walk away would in fact create tremendous ripple effects that would be hard to fathom, and I would caution against that kind of knee-jerk reaction.
Thank you, Sandy. Jack, your views, please.
Thank you.
On either part of the question.
Sorry.
On either part.
Yes. The Green Party is very simply saying we do need to pull out of Afghanistan. We can't just walk out because we have made quite a state of things. The only way you ever end fighting is by stopping fighting and talking, and that has, in the end, to be the way forward. I think that there was some sense of an overreaction to attack a country for what was a dreadful, but more actually warlike action. Somehow has distorted the process. And I don't think that wide-scale war makes us safer, to answer the question.
Jack, accepting where we are now, is that on the route?
We have to come out.
Okay.
But we have to go carefully, gracefully, and get the results going.
And
I don't think it's as simple as just saying coming in or coming out. And I worked very much with Captain James Phillips as well, Tony Phillips, and he was the first soldier to die when he went in Afghanistan. And when you talk to our serving personnel, you can't just pull out. That will abandon a lot of good work they've done. And I think unfortunately the government hasn't thought through an exit strategy either in Afghanistan or Iraq. And what's more, should not happen through the government's initiatives. What we've been doing, unfortunately, is not talking to some of the more radical elements in the country, the Muslim form of religion, that the government, this is what the report says, that the government seems to be more happy with. And this, unfortunately, is encouraging things like Islam Sharia to be more radical in the UK. So what we need to do is not only have a strategy of removing from Iraq and Afghanistan, once we stabilise the country, to a level that they can then have a democracy and work through themselves. But also we need to ensure that we're talking through groups in the country, in our own countries, so that we're not having young people radicalised, who are becoming recruiting soldiers for terrorism tomorrow, on our streets, on our tubes, on our bus stations. And sadly, the government has got it wrong on this one. I said the report that our committees going in Parliament has shown that they have got the wrong approach. So we have got to rethink, but we can't just pull out that under the good work that's been done and the lives have been lost by our service.
Thank you, Anne. John, what is the UK position?
The UK position on that is that we have drifted into a war that we should not be in. The ethos for this war, it opposes Al-Qaeda and it's opposing terrorism. Now, if we had terrorism in this country, we've lost 220 people killed and many thousands seriously injured in Afghanistan. It takes an awful lot of terrorist attacks in that country to achieve that. While we're fighting war in Afghanistan, we're still letting Afghans come into the country who are asylum seekers. So we're fighting a war over there to save the population, and the population is coming over here. We should not be there. We should have a quick, radical rethink and get out. The Taliban are not beating them. They drift away, they go back into the villages, they go over the border into Pakistan, and they come back there. The Russians spent many, many years there fighting the same battle. And their tanks and armour still in the desert of Afghanistan. That's how I think we need to get out.
Thank you, John. Now, Roman, all things are clear. Everybody blames you, so what's your position?
War